Welcome to Moscow and the first visit to Russia by the World Strongman Cup. Some of the strongest men on the planet are here to compete in the event. 12 athletes from 11 different countries in one of the most famous cities in the world. All the big names are here. Glenn Ross, Michael Starov, recovered from injury and leading the Russian challenge. That giant of a man, Igor Pedan. Well, this is where the strongmen are going to be competing in Red Square in Moscow. Well, as usual, the strongman event got off to a good start, and a marching band was called in to get the event well and truly underway. So 6 events to come, and the word is that some of these events are very heavy indeed. But first up, it's an old familiar one, the Conan wheel, 390 kilograms, and you have to move it round on the axis as many times as you can. First up, Richard Danis of Hungary, who's been going so well in recent weeks, will be looking to consolidate his form. But you can see Danis already in a certain amount of pain, trying to march it out. The competitors going the opposite way to the usual way that they go round on the Conan wheel. I wonder if that will make any difference to them. Next up, 27-year-old Tarmo Mitt, 138 kilograms, 1.95 m, the tallest man in the Strongman World Cup. And if Tarmo Mitt gets it right, if he gets his grip secured, then this guy's stride pattern means that he very often wins these type of events, and he is really pushing that out. Looks like he's gone past Danis without any problem. Trying to keep focus, trying to just cut everything out in his mind and just to do the job, and in the end has to call it a day. But a good effort from Mitt. Now next up, Michael Starov, last year's champion, the 30-year-old. I don't think anybody can believe that Starov is back. He had a horrible injury in Serbia and Montenegro in Subotica to his bicep, but he says it's fine, he's back and he's ready to go again. And he's also saying that he's in excellent form and looking forward to this competition in Moscow, and he certainly looks like it. This is an event that Starov usually blitzes if he's fit. 2 serious injuries this year. He's gone past Mitt, he's flying. Wow. Eventually, the barrels hit the floor. And look at that, he barely looks out of breath. Great win for Michael Starov to open up. He takes the 12 points. Mitt in second, Bear in third. Now, the log lift. Basically, the maximum number of reps that you can perform, but it's 140 kilograms. That's a little bit heavier than they usually have for the log lift, and I think we're going to see a couple of the guys struggling. So Richard Danis of Hungary on the far side. Nearest us, Ravis Vitsis of Latvia, the current World Cup leader. Now they're using the standard log at 130 kilograms, and then they've put that little bit extra weight on, another 10 kilograms. You see those little side discs, and that's what's causing trouble, and Vitsis is all over the place. Danis isn't faring much better either. My goodness. Well, you usually see the guys get the log into position and then rep out fairly easily, and Vitsis, well, at this rate, he's going to be throwing it into the crowd, and that's a fairly concerned tour leader. Let's see if Ralph Baer, nearest us, and Glenn Ross there in your picture fare any better. Glenn Ross, the Irishman, has produced a couple of good performances on the tour this year. Ralph Baer has been there or thereabouts, but hasn't had any of the big results that he had last year. Well, it's a good start for both men, but you can see the way their bodies are shaking that this weight is heavy. It's awkward because it's too large to really balance properly on your chest. It comes down across your windpipe. That's the idea of strongman. It's not to make the guys comfortable, it's to test them. And this log lift is a suitable opening test. So the door is really open for Igor Pedan, the local favourite, the Muscovite, in front of the home crowd. What can he do? And he's joined by Sergei Flerko. First time that particular Russian has competed on this tour, but Flerko nowhere near the class of Pedan. Now Pedan has to use his powerlifting pedigree here. Once he's established his position with the log, then he needs to start to drive those lifts out. But as you can see, none of the competitors have managed to get into a stable position to start to lift from, so they're just having to scrap the lifts out. And Pedan has done just enough, but I do mean just. This was a tough opener. Well, Igor Pedan, 12 points. Glenn Ross got in second place, and Ralph Baer, good finish from him, joined third with Starov. Well, Strongman isn't just open to able-bodied athletes. There's also a very well-developed disabled strongman circuit. And in particular, in Russia, they do have an elite group of disabled strongman athletes. And we go into the third test for these guys, medley one. There's going to be two medleys here. As the athletes will tell you, not always a favourite amongst them, because it not only tests your strength, it tests your speed, it tests your cardiovascular ability, and when you're lifting heavy weights, that is tough. First up then, Tarmo Mit of Estonia up against Boris Milosevic of Slovenia. So the straightforward farmer's walk with the weight across your shoulders, and then 3 sacks up onto the pedestal. That is not as easy as it looks, and as usual, Mit goes like a rocket, and because of his height, presents no problem getting those sacks up onto the table. Won't be the same for Glenn Ross. Glenn Ross is going to have to work a little harder with the sacks, but he is so fast across the ground. That is amazing. Well, he's left Igor Pedan for dead at the moment. Ross, with 3 good lifts, could challenge Mit's time, and look at Pedan. You wouldn't have thought he would have cared a jot about the weight of the sacks, but he struggled to get the first one up. Ross has done the business. Great performance by the Irishman. Now, what has the consistent man of this year's tour got? Ravasvitsis on the left side of your picture, up against Sergei Flerko, who's really struggled so far in this event. Vitsis just a little slow to that first sack. Has to pick up the pace here if he wants to get anything out of this. Well, I think he's struggling to beat Mit's time. He's pleased. Well, it's come right down to the wire. And that meant that Ralph Baer and Michael Starov also had to be in absolute tip-top form to get anywhere near Mit. Baer struggled. A couple of mistakes from him. Starov, though, his usual smooth, aggressive self. This guy has got power to burn. Great to see Mikhail Starov back and in good shape here on the World Strongman Cup. Baer knows when he's beaten by the better man. Confirmation then, Starov takes the 12 points. Another win for him to beat Vitsis into second. Baer has to be content with third. Well, no World Strongman Cup event would be complete without a certain amount of local colour. And big Moscow Stars, a local folk group, came out to entertain the crowd and also entertain some of the strongmen, including a little later on a rather confused-looking Milan Jovanovic. There's Milan. I told you he looked a little confused. He's going to take a very long time to live this one down, I think. Well, a good sport as usual, but I think desperate to get back to the events. And next, high throwing. We haven't had that before on the World Strongman Cup. This will be interesting. 24 kilogram weight, and the first height that they go for is the 4 metre. And not a successful attempt, I'm afraid, by one of the competitors that should be a little better at it. And Stuart Murray from Scotland, which is where the event originated, not happy at all with his performance. Ralph Baer then has the height, has the upper body strength to benefit him in this, and providing he doesn't drop the weight on his head, I think we're okay. You can see a few of these athletes haven't experienced this particular event before, And that caused some fairly amusing circumstances out there as the competitors battled with the competition conditions. 24 kilograms pulled up above your head with one arm. Not that easy. On to 4 meters 20 then. Grzegorz Peszka still in. And the guy that calls himself the dinosaur from Poland with a successful attempt. This event is cut out for Tarmo Mitt, as he showed. A little nervous, wasn't quite sure where the weight had gone, but it had gone over. Up to 4 meters and 40 then, and in comes Igor Pedan. Confident in front of the home crowd that he can get this weight up and over. And the confidence wasn't misplaced. My goodness, nearly threw it off the safety mat. Now, could Vidzis compete with Pedan? Needed a result here, did Vidzis. Took his time, tried to do it technically, proficiently. Just about sneaked it over, got away with it. Bit of luck, but called it a day there. So on to 4 meters and 80. This really is a height. And first up to attempt it, Igor Pedan of Russia. Easy, very easy indeed. Well, this is a good performance here in Moscow from Pedan. Looking brutal, looking confident. Milan Jovanovic. Former powerlifter and basketball player. Now taking up strongman full time, and he too keeps the pressure on Pedan. Enjoyed that one, didn't he? Good stuff from Jovanovic. That certainly keeps the crowd focused on this event. 5 meters. That's the next height that Pedan has to overcome with this 24 kilogram weight. And my goodness, nearly disaster. Narrowly missing a couple of the competitors. And if somebody hadn't been watching, that could have been nasty. Well, Jovanovic tried the 5 meters, but on count back, he was already the winner. Hence the little bow. And confirmation, Jovanovic beats Pedan, and Mitt, Peszka, Vidzis all in 3rd place. Now, medley number 2. Farmer's walk with 2 very heavy weights, then the wheel flip 3 times over. This one is going to be very difficult indeed. Danis, who was complaining of a shoulder problem right at the start of this event, doesn't look particularly comfortable, does he? That turn is a lot more difficult than it looks. You have to really stamp the foot down, pivot round and get away again, and you have to make sure that you've gone over the line. Danis neck and neck with Scotland's Stuart Murray. So the wheel flip 3 times over. Again, the knuckles used to slide in and under. Trying to protect the fingers as much as possible, and Danis is moving well here. 470 kilograms, so not the biggest tyre that we've had on the World Strongman Cup, and that's why Danis has made pretty easy work of that. Judges just confirming Danis goes into the lead for the moment. Now, Boris Milosevic of Slovenia up against Glenn Ross of Ireland. Ross usually flies in this. The farmer's walk presents him with no problem whatsoever. And Milosevic is going to be under pressure, feeling that the Irishman is getting away from him all the time. But what he has to do is concentrate on his own work. It's him against the equipment. It's not him against the Irishman. He has to try to remember that. So much easier said than done when you're out there in the heat of battle. I can tell you, Ross is away. Milosevic won't be getting anywhere near him if Ross keeps this form going. And there he goes. Almost dismissive, and the first time we've heard it from Glenn Ross. And the Moscow crowd love that. Next up, Michael Starov of the Ukraine against Sergei Flurko, and I'm just wondering if Starov will be a little bit upset getting drawn against Flurko, because it's not going to push him at all. This is Starov against himself here. Well, Flurko goes at that in a determined fashion. That is very aggressive from the Russian, but Ukrainian reigning champion on this tour is trying not to give it up, and Flurko has come from nowhere. Well, a mistake from Starov meant that he missed out on the second flip, and the Russian crowd have another athlete to cheer. Now, this is crucial for Vidzis against Mitt. Mick's getting better and better in these medleys as he develops his technique. He's said that he's worked very hard on his strongman technique this season. He's not just said, well, I'm too tall for this event, I'm not going to do it properly. He's gone away, he's worked with the coaches, and he's tried to come back at it. And the wheel flip, one of these events that if the tyre is too heavy, Mick can't even flip it once. So this is an impressive performance from him, but equally impressive from the Strongman World Cup leader. Good stuff from Ravis Vidzis. And confirmation that Vidzis takes the 12 points ahead of Flurko, Starov in third. Now, the bus pull, 16 tons. Yes, that is for real. This is a horrible, horrible event to finish with. The athletes have already had a chat to the judges about this, but all of them have said, no, this is what strongman is about. It's about going out to prove yourself against these types of obstacles. This is an enormous weight to try and move, hence the ladder on the ground. And even with that guaranteed traction, Glenn Ross, who normally sprints with the lighter weight buses, can barely move it. This is absolutely brutal for the competitors, and they will love it. You're going to see some very, very tired strongmen at the end of this, giving every last ounce of strength to try and keep the bus moving, but he's got no momentum at all as Ross. And this is seriously costing him. A little look up there and a raise of the eyebrows. He's got nowhere. Well, I don't think this is going to come down to who finishes inside the time over the line. This is going to be who can move the bus furthest in the 90-second period. And Ross can't even stand up after that. Now, next up, Ralph Baer. Baer, another bus pull specialist. And look at that. How long has it been since you've seen Ralph Baer move that slowly towing a bus? The ladder bending up from the ground, just showing you how much weight these guys are supporting on that harness. Those power suits that they wear, the tight power suits aimed at trying to protect the muscles from injury. They really are bearing the brunt here. And as you see, after a couple of strides, the competitors acknowledging this bus is too heavy to get any sort of momentum, so they're having to go to a different technique. And Baer leaning forward and actually pulling himself down flat onto the floor ladder. That's the only way he can edge it along centimetre by centimetre. It's another spent athlete. Out come the smelling salts. Now, the next guy up is Michael Starov. If he can't move the bus, we know it's heavy. The 30-year-old Ukrainian absolutely flies into it. He's driving as hard as he can, and it's the first competitor we've seen to take some steps and get some momentum, but the bus is getting back at him now. Oh dear, Starov. The best he can do is a tiny squat on each run, and he's struggling as much as the rest. But this guy is fit. He will be able to drive for the entire 90 seconds. And look at that technique. That is amazing. Well, every single part of the body being used to try and move the bus. Good performance from Starov. Now, surely, with legs like Igor Pedan has, and with his powerlifting pedigree behind him, surely Pedan can get this bus going. Well, that is a really decent effort. You can see the marks on the ground representing where the previous athletes have gone, and already he's breezed past those. But the same thing is happening to Pedan as happened to Starov. He's hit the wall. The lactic acid has built up in the muscles very quickly, and he can barely move now. The crowd, all that is driving him along. The coaches, the fans, all in close proximity, talking him past the mark of Mikhail Starov. The judges looking at it, looking at the stopwatches as he crawls to a complete halt. Pedan absolutely finished. Took him a while to get up to go and celebrate with the crowd. But what an ambassador for the sport of strongman. Igor Pedan The home athlete doing a great job. 12 points to Padan. Starov in second place. Ralph Baer in third. Well, the final results, Michael Starov back on top. Another win for him. Equal first place with Padan. But in the end, got it on countback. Ravis Vitsis, another third place for Mr. Consistent on the tour. Padan taking the second, taking the plaudits of his fellow athletes and the crowd. But in first place, the man we thought was injured and out for the rest of the season, Michael Starov, given a warm welcome back to the fray. Starov has another win under his belt.
After last discipline, me and Digger, we have the same points and we have the same places, and it was very difficult to determine who is better. But maybe just for luck, I was better.
Well, a fantastic event here in Moscow. Some of the events very, very heavy. It's been brutal. It's been very exciting. And that's how the World Cup standings are left. Ravis Vitsis still leads ahead of Igor Padan and Ralph Baer in third. That's all from Moscow. We'll see you again soon.